Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fifth IMIM webinar. Today, we have a new very interesting topic. We're going to talk about transitions and experiments in the context of industrial ecosystems. So this is the agenda for today. We're going to talk quickly about the IMIM in case that you are new to our community. Also about the host university today, Universidad Politécnica de Madrid in Spain, which is one of the consortium members. Then we're gonna go to talk about our keynote and all this topic that is gonna be provided by Dr. Ebru Susur. I will introduce her more properly in some minutes. We're gonna have a Q&A session for you to ask whatever question you have. You can do this also along the way in the chat or in your microphone. And a small closure where we will tell you the calendar for our next webinars up to July. Good. So as I was saying, Professor Ebru Susur, she's going to be our guest speaker today. She's currently a professor in Universidad Politécnica de Madrid. She is working both at the School of Informatics and the School of Industrial Engineering, where our International Master in Industrial Management belongs. So she focuses on sustainability problems and the challenges that industries have in terms of systems, a collection of enterprises that are working together. So I think you have read all of this before in our event page. So I will let her give you more details about the current situation and theories and challenges and problems that companies have on this way. So thank you very much, Professor Ebru Susur, for accepting our invitation. It's very nice to have you here. I will talk more about her background also when we go to introduce her talk. Just a few slides. I don't want to bore you. This is more for the community that is new to these webinars, to the IMIM community. So the IMIM is a multi-site master program, okay? What does it mean? It's a master that has been labeled with Erasmus Mundus label by the European Commission at some point of time. So we got funding before to offer some scholarships for the IMIM. Now we're still gonna offer scholarships, but now they are funded by enterprises, okay? So we're gonna give more details about that in the end because we are also organizing some information sessions for people who are interested to, or if you know somebody who's interested who maybe apply to this IMIM program. So when we say multi-site, is because you can study in different countries in the world. Basically, you could choose 4 locations. The first location is here in Madrid, where we're hosting today. So you're gonna have the first track related to management courses. Then during the second semester, you will go to Edinburgh in the United Kingdom, in Scotland, at Heriot-Watt University, where you're gonna keep learning about management, but a bit more focused on operations and projects. And then the third semester, you can choose any of our partners. You could continue with Heriot-Watt University with their campus in Dubai, if you want to have a specialization in supply chain management. You can go to Italy, to Politecnico di Torino, in northwestern Italy, if you want to learn more about engineering or finance. If you prefer to know how to do business with China, you could also go to Xi'an with our partner, Northwestern Polytechnic University. Or if your field is more about data science and innovation, you could choose the Monterrey Tech in Mexico in any of their 3 campuses in Mexico City, Guadalajara, or Monterrey. And finally, the 4th semester is for you to do your master thesis, to do an internship, wherever you prefer. It could be anywhere in the world, as long as you have a tutor for one of the partner universities. So it's a really flexible program and very international and very complete as an industrial management program. So we have people from everywhere. These are some of the numbers. We have already 15 editions, and most of the people, as you can see, they come from Asia, from Europe, but we have representation from everywhere in the world. And these are some of the companies that our graduates work for after graduation. So they are in the top industry sectors and top employees. As you can see, we have a very nice alumni community, and actually some of you might also be part of this community. You have been joining our webinars, and we're very happy for that. So just a small glimpse into the UPM. So in the School of Industrial Engineering, where Professor Susur and myself are working, is the one involved into this consortium for the IMIM. This is one. It's a very old, very nice building. So this is part of the top of the ceiling, and we are the largest technical university in Spain. Actually, we are ranked among the top 100 by QS, okay, in terms of engineering. So we have around 40,000 students. Some of them are doing PhD, okay? Basically, most of the students are doing undergraduate and master degrees. We have 3,500 teaching and research staff, okay? And we have, as you can see, a variety of offerings in terms of degrees in any of these 3 layers: undergrads, masters, and PhD programs. We are compounded by 16 engineering schools, okay? They really range from telecommunications to physics to biology. I mean, there are many different specializations. Some of them they are combining and joining forces also with the industry, and we also have 10 research centers affiliated and 4 campuses, all of them around Madrid. So ETSI, which is the Spanish acronym for the School of Industrial Engineering, is from all these 16 engineering schools in UPM the largest one. Okay, actually we are located in the city center. Well, in Madrid, in the not the historical one, but in the city center, in the business district. So it's very well communicated, very easy to access. And within this, our department, which is where both Professor Susur and myself belong, the Department of Industrial Engineering, Business Administration, and Statistics, is also the largest one in the university. So we provide services, teaching services, let's say, with our faculty to all the other engineering schools. So just in ETSI, we have 4,500 students, 300 are PhD students, and we have around 300 faculty members, and we offer 4 undergraduate degrees, which are actually industrial engineering, industrial management, which is a bit more like business administration, and we also offer mechanical engineering and electronic engineering, plus 8 different PhD programs and 14 masters, also covering these fields. I was commenting that our department is the largest in the university. We have been, we have created and we have been granted the label and the funding by the European Union with 3 programs, okay? 2 of them are still operating at the moment. So one is IMIM, which is the one that organized this event. We also have the DIM. Actually, I also see some other people who were part of this EDIM program. We still get people joining us. This is the European Doctorate in Industrial Management, and it's in collaboration with KTH in Sweden and also Politecnico di Milano in Italy. And we also have, and I think Jess was saying before, I assume that maybe she's graduated from ME3 and this European Masters in Management and Engineering of Energy. That still we have our last edition where UPM is participating, graduating this year, okay? And this was in collaboration with Nantes in France, and I'm not sure, Ebru, which other university, I forgot. But since you are graduated.
We had, of course, UPM and then Nantes, École Polytechnique Fédérale de Nantes. And then we had KTH, Royal Institute of Technology, and some collaborators from Hungary as well.
Oh, yes, in Budapest, I remember.
Yeah.
Central University of Budapest, I think. Good. So just to give you some understanding about the type of courses that we have in UPM. So basically, you will study here strategy, statistics for data science, entrepreneurship, decision making, international industrial marketing, organization management, research methods, managerial accounting and corporate finance. So as you can see, these are general introductory courses. So if you, for you to prepare you, right, for the management track. So I think in UPM, we have a big deal or an important role into giving you an immersion into the management field for this master. And well, that's it. I think the only thing that I will have to add is that, well, I think Madrid is famous for being a cultural capital, also very famous for drinks and tapas. So that's why the pictures that we choose to present. It's a very lively city, okay? Very friendly, very sunny. So we hope that in case we see you here around, I'm sure that you will enjoy your stay in Madrid, okay? And we're really looking forward to see you. I mean, not only for the IMIM, for our events, to visit friends, just to take a walk around the city. So let us know if you drop by. Good. So now, the most important part of this webinar, our keynote speaker. So Professor Ebru Susur, she's currently an assistant professor in innovation studies here in UPM. She has also worked before at Utrecht University, also as a professor and as a postdoctoral research in KTH in Sweden. She studied the EDIM program, actually. So she holds 2 PhD degrees from Politecnico de Milano and also Universidad Politécnica de Madrid. Her research interest covers these fields related to transitions, experimentations, industrial ecology that she's going to talk about today, but also she has done research on business model for sustainability, circular economy, and digitalization. Currently, she's also involved into the coordination of the EMIM Master. She has many roles, but mainly she acts as the master thesis coordinator, okay? And she's also in the academic steering committee. So we're very happy to see her. I'm gonna give her now the microphone. So I think we're really gonna enjoy a very nice keynote. So thank you very much, Professor Susur, for being here once again.
Thank you, Isaac, for the nice introduction and also having me as a speaker today. As Isaac mentioned, I'm already involved in IMIM, having different roles, but of course, being a speaker in an IMIM event is also different, right? So if you can let me share my screen, Isaac.
You can do it now.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with today's talk. You see the slides? Yeah. Okay. So today I will be talking about transitions and experimentation towards industrial ecosystems. Okay. So my research in the last years has deeply focused on industrial ecology and industrial ecosystem transitions. And today I will try to cover what we have been doing related to that and what our research is telling to the wider audiences, including both policymakers and industry practitioners, as well as the researchers who are interested in working industrial ecology, industrial ecosystems, and as well as circular economy. We will come to this point later. So a little bit of background, how we have arrived to this research topic, okay? I think the challenge is clear for many of us. So there are existing sustainability problems related to the industrial production routines, which still function with the traditional rules, okay? What do we have? We have the intensive production and rapid growth. We blindly focus on productivity, and at the societal level, we have marginalized living standards, and there are many that are not listed here. In that sense, sustainability has entered to the agenda of policymakers, industry practitioners, as well as the researchers, especially in the last, I would say, 3-4 decades, okay? But in the global arena, it's generally approached as a normative principle. What I mean with normative principle is it has value judgments, okay, embedded in it. I think most of you are familiar with this diagram, 17 Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations, right? And the sustainability problems, if we take sustainability from normative perspective, can be related to many of the goals that we need to achieve set by the United Nations, starting from obviously industry, innovation and infrastructure, climate action, affordable clean energy, sustainable cities, urbanization, and many others, okay, responsible consumption and production, and the list goes on. So obviously, industry production becomes a concern if it continues in unsustainable patterns, also for achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. But in my research, I prefer to approach sustainability as an analytical concept. What does that mean? What I argue is that we need to take care of the conditional concerns instead of taking sustainability together with its value judgments set by the global actors, especially the intermediaries, okay? So without a priori general assumptions on what or how sustainability should be, okay? Because in the end, if we purely take the normative approach to the sustainability, we also see, based on the current research, okay, many SDGs can come into tension with each other, and there are some trade-offs. So we will get to this point later as well, the problem of operationalizing sustainability as a normative approach. For this reason, we take sustainability from the analytical perspective, and what I tried is to operationalize, study, understand, and explain, okay, the sustainability in specific contexts. And linking it to the industry production, okay, perhaps we also need to face, okay, with the probability that perhaps this is unachievable, okay, due to the weak nature of sustainability, especially going back to the problematization related to its normative value, okay? So potential focus options still to study sustainability can be focusing on individual industrial firms, their collaboration and networking, the business models, focusing on one sector or one particular industry or multiple sectors, okay? And what I have argued was that sustainability can be studied at the systems level, okay, for the sustainability problem of industry production systems. And what we can do is to focus on agglomeration at local and regional scales, and then focusing on the problem of the linear production routines. And that brings us to the industrial ecology domain, actually, okay? Industrial ecology is one prominent way, but it's only one way. It's not the unique or only or ultimate way, okay? That's important to note. So what it means is that it tries to mimic, okay, the natural systems using the analogy of industrial ecosystems, which have circular routines. So what happens in an industrial ecosystem is that there are physical and non-physical resource exchanges between the actors, okay? And the idea is to change these linear production routines, okay, take, make, and dispose, into circular production routines. And what it takes is many changes at the technological, institutional, cultural level at the systems approach, okay? So it has an explicit focus as well on the local and regional scales. And generally, industrial ecology studies adopt for evolutionary ontologies, okay? What that means is that they either focus on greenfield or brownfield experimentation. Greenfield is planning from scratch industrial ecosystems, and brownfield approach, on the other hand, also claims for the validity of converting existing, okay, so to say, linear production systems into circular ones instead of planning them from scratch. I have already mentioned that still, again, underlining, not suggesting industrial ecosystems or ecology as the unique and ultimate solution. But still, if we take the normative approach, it can deal with at least these four SDGs claimed by the United Nations. SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, SDG 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure, and SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, finally as the umbrella SDG, the climate action. Okay. So what I have done was questioning the assumptions in the industrial ecology domain, okay? Previously, industrial ecology domain purely focused on the technical improvements, okay, in particular industrial production systems. So what I ask is that what happens if you focus on the complex coevolution of the social and technical aspects? So it's obvious that there is a missing socio-technical approach, okay? And that also brings the problem of not covering wide range of social actors. They just try to cover the industrial actors from an industrial ecology perspective. But indeed, the systems perspective offers, okay, also to focus on different actors like intermediaries, governmental organizations, universities, and other knowledge generation organizations. And also the potential nature of industrial ecology to drive for the transitions was not enough highlighted, okay? Literature studied many industrial ecosystem cases, and what we observe is that they generally remain as sustainable and distributed and fringe practices at different geographies all around the world. So the question is that how really we can achieve, okay, industrial ecology-inspired transitions. Then perhaps we need to take industrial ecology from a systemic innovation model perspective. And this may require a link to the innovation studies. This was missing, okay, by the current literature. For that reason, okay, the research that I have conducted aimed at understanding, okay, industrial ecology-inspired transitions by conceptualizing and analyzing the industrial ecosystem practices and how they unfold. And the question was, how can unfolding industrial ecosystems be conceptualized and empirically analyzed? And with a focus on both local and regional scale, the research projects have run both theoretical, methodological, and empirical pluralization. Okay. So as for the theoretical approach, I tried to link industrial ecology domain to innovation studies, and that required first checking what's available in the innovation studies. Okay, so there are different approaches to study such kind of transitions, starting with evolutionary economics that have started in the Nordic countries, and then social construction of technology, actor network perspective, coming from French school of thought, ecological modernization, and finally, maybe the most recent one, and also integrating all these previous approaches, which is called sustainability transitions. That has emerged mainly from the Dutch and the British school of thought, okay? And I have tried to link industrial ecology to this transitions domain because it was the most recent and covering all the previous aspects that was handled by other approaches. So what sustainability transitions domain is about, well, we can say it's a recent research community emerging from innovation studies, okay? And then we try to study the complex and multidimensional shifts, okay, at the societal and economic levels for more sustainable production and consumption patterns, okay? And the main argument is that we need radical and systemic changes in order to get into more sustainable modes of living, okay, in our societal structures. So propose this socio-technical approach, okay, basically focusing on the co-evolution of system dimensions, institutional, technological, and cultural. And bridging between industrial ecology and sustainability transitions not become so difficult. It was just there, obvious, but was not really addressed by the literature, okay? So industrial ecology domain actually offers a systemic innovation approach implicitly, okay? And it's about sustainability, in the end, scholars were talking about transitions, but what they have been observing was basically distributed fringe sustainable practices all around the world, but there was no transition happening. So there's an obvious technological change within the industrial production system. It requires an institutional change, cultural change. These changes happen at the organizational level, sectoral level, and they require a broad range of actors. So do the sustainable transition domain, okay? So that's why the link was, in that sense, implicit, but obvious, okay? So what could be done was observing and also deeply analyzing the different frameworks offered by the sustainable transitions domain to the industrial ecology domain. The idea was to bring potential theoretical insights to industrial ecology and potential empirical accounts to the transition domain, okay? Based on that, overarching conceptualization, the theorization in the studies was, I approach industrial ecology as a systemic innovation model, okay? And then industrial ecosystems as a socio-technical construct. And based on these foundations, operationalizing strategic niche management from transitions domain acted as the inspirational accounts, okay? And the concepts from this framework, so the experimentation, these novel projects, these widely distributed and alone, okay, industrial ecosystems all around the world, and how local and global niche differentiation can help us to understand, okay, and the niche building processes, how these industrial ecosystems has turned into niches through which processes. And S&M provide us some analytical tools to analyze that. Basically, articulation of expectations and visions, social network building, and learning processes at the systems level may help us to understand, okay, how these niches, industrial ecosystem niches, are emerging. And going back to, okay, operationalization of sustainability as an analytical construct, then I also argue for bringing the importance of spatial context, okay? The spaces do matter. What it means, the context do matter for all these niche building processes. So based on this theorization, okay, the methodology followed was basically focusing on two different methods. First, I have followed a case survey through systematic literature review, okay, which led me to collect information about 140 local industrial ecosystem cases from 24 countries, studied in total 66 scientific articles. So as you see, we see industrial ecosystem cases in the Northern America, as well as the southern part, in European Union and United Kingdom, as well as on the Asia, China, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, India, and finally in Australian continent, okay? And as for the second method, a case study methodology was adopted, focusing on Spain and Italy. In Spain, the case chosen was Catalonia, one of the mostly industrialized regions in Spain, and also investing a lot in sustainability and circular economy in the last decade, okay? So for the Catalonia, it was a regional case study. And for the Italy, we have chosen two really, again, industrialized regions, Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna, with three different local industrial ecosystem phases. And the study, okay, resulted in very interesting insights. Basically, if we combine all what I have been collecting, okay, one regional case with 8 projects, and in total 107 local case, ended in interesting insights related to these niche building processes. As for the articulation of expectations and visions, the research said there is a diversion, okay, among the vision and expectations among different actors. So the actors are motivated for industrial ecology for different reasons, even in the same geography. obviously industrial actors were more motivated by the economical benefits, and they do have a limited and negative expectation about sustainability in general. Okay, because of the global crisis and also the national crisis happened back in 2008 in Spain. Okay, many, especially small-scale companies, were just trying to survive within the market. So when you introduce them with the sustainability practices and when you start talking to them with the circular economy, the first thing they ask is about if there's an economical benefit in it for the company to survive. Okay, and for the government part, the government was mainly motivated because of the landscape pressure, okay, the global and national scales. Well, obviously, European Union, through its commission, European Commission is really putting a high pressure on its member states for running more sustainable industrial production routines. Okay, it's the same for other intermediary organizations like World Bank, okay, EBRD, and European Investment Bank. So all the funding and the support and protection provided by especially the intermediaries and the governmental oriented actors are motivated by sustainability, okay? And what other thing that I have found is that continuous experimentation, okay, at different places bring in the end an alignment among the actors. So if there is a continuous experimentation, perhaps through small projects, in the end, actors' visions are converging towards one point, okay? And well, there are different ideas on how to run these industrial ecology projects. They can be run through top-down approaches, mainly by planning. And that's what we observe in America, Asia, and Australia, okay? There are very strict protection mechanisms, and there is a broader long-term transitionary vision, and they both invest in brownfield and greenfield. Well, on the other hand, especially in Europe and UK, we also see bottom-up initiatives, okay? Well, they do have a support through top-down mechanisms from the governments as well, but they are generally started at the local level, okay? This may be explained by the cultural differences and also the market dynamics, changing market dynamics at different geographies around the world. So obviously the power has a role, okay, in this visioning and expectation building. The powerful actors do have more influence, okay, on other actors. And maybe the most interesting part and most relevant part is that people now do start talking about circular economy. Okay, and circular economy has been sweeping out these different sustainability practices, also including industrial ecology, and bringing them under one umbrella. Okay, and many actors do not really know the industrial ecology thinking behind circular economy. Actually, it's the main school of thought, maybe behind circular economy. Okay, one of the main school of thoughts. As for the social network building, well, obviously not focusing only on industrial network building, but also bringing different actors to the arena is important, government, non-government knowledge and intermediaries. We need to have multiple views. If there is one coordination or management body, this may help, okay, the overall transition. And unfortunately, we still see, although the focus is on the industry, we still see a limited and shallow involvement from the industry. This is mainly because of the trust issue, okay? So what the governments and also the intermediaries are doing to foster this kind of transitions is lobbying and advocacy for industrial ecology. And as for the learning, we can differentiate between the first order learning and the second order learning, okay? When I say first order, it's basically about the basic tools and platforms, okay, mainly run by the governments and intermediary organizations. Well, we just focus on the knowledge communication events, like this webinar, for example. People attending this kind of webinars and other type of events do start accumulating some knowledge on industrial ecology. But then second order learning is more about practice, okay? What happens in action? What do we do with this knowledge that we gather at the first order learning events, okay? And for the second order learning, there is a need for repetition and accumulation of first order learning. And actually learning becomes maybe the most important niche building mechanisms, because through learning only we can really change the cultural routines embedded in the industry production systems. Well, obviously these niche building processes, okay, do interact with them. So in one phrase, it can be said that expectation and visions can converge through appropriate learning processes within the emerging broad and deep networks, okay? And in that way, transitions may happen, and it may take decades. It cannot happen in a year or 2 years. And as for the special context, okay, the conditions. So in the regions where we already have established agglomerated production systems, it's more likely that we may practice industrial ecology and circular economy. And also the intensity and diversity in the agglomerations do influence if industrial ecology will be adopted or not. Let's say if there is an intense collaboration and if there is a diversity among the actor types, it's more likely that industrial ecology and circular economy will happen, okay? And all these brought us with basically 3 main frameworks, okay? If we say there's a traditional industrial production system at local scale through these niche building processes with the positive influence of the spatial context, okay? Production systems can go through a niche experimentation journey. And in the end, we may start observing local industrial ecosystems. And as for the global scale, okay, how can we really achieve a local industrial ecosystem development all around the world? Basically, what we see, okay, at the current moment is local industrial production systems working in linear production routines everywhere. And through some niche building processes, we start observing some, okay, a few fringe sustainability practices. But in time, we may start seeing more of them. And if they learn from each other, and if they also network among each other, we may start, okay, stronger institutions, stronger structures within the existing system. And in the end, maybe this will be the mainstream development pattern. Okay, maybe later, in a couple of decades, we will start seeing scarce traditional industrial production system development, and rather industrial ecosystem development will be the mainstream. And for the regional scale, actually what I have observed was projects become very important, okay? These are the experiments at the regional scale. And they come together and converge into an industrial ecosystem niche. Again, through these niche building processes, and what happens is that converged converged visions and expectations start having shared cognitive formula and normative rules through learning, and obviously there is a regional network of actors. Okay, and research do have implications for the action and policy-oriented actors. Basically, there is no universal correct applicable implication, okay? So the primary audience would be still the policymaking organizations and the managers of this kind of industrial production systems. And what we need is, okay, continuous experimentation. In the end, the local projects should be supported so that they can become larger and sweep out the traditional routines. And for that, we need to have protecting, shielding mechanisms through incentives, through changing the regulations and legal frameworks. And well, brings me, okay, to my current research, which focuses on circular economy. Because as I said, what I have observed in the field was now actors are talking about circular economy, although they keep on practicing or they keep on aiming industrial ecology. So basically, these two perspectives have this transitionary view, can be both approached as a systemic innovation, and they are realized through a variety of incremental and radical innovations. So there is actually a flat ontology, perhaps not an evolutionary one, okay? And what we observe as well, there is a socio-technical change, but perhaps an institutional change can be more relevant, okay? In that sense, what I'm doing now is working on novel middle range theories, okay, for the transition domain, not only SNM, MLP, or TAS, which is available in transitions, but maybe novel ones to study this kind of different systemic innovations like industrial ecology and circular economy. And this requires further theoretical pluralization. Maybe we need to focus more on the relational and institutional ontologies, okay, that can bring a rather flat ontology and a more dynamic view of what's really happening on the ground and how these actors are interacting with each other. And this may require maybe tracing the actor networks, okay? How do these exchanges emerge between the actors? And also the discourse analysis, especially to understand better the visioning and expectations part, okay? So this is what I'm currently working on. And also going back to the beginning of the presentation, I said sustainability can be taken as a normative, okay, or an analytical construct, right? And the main motivation behind that was sustainability is a weak problem. So we really do not have a clear problem definition, and there's no stopping rule. It's impossible to test all the potential solutions. And most of the time we have ill-defined problems that are trying to be solved by ill-defined solutions. There are multiple stakeholders and for many other reasons, okay? Perhaps we need to start questioning our sustainability assumptions instead of linking our research projects and practices directly to these normative principles through the pressures of United Nations SDG goals, for instance. And based on this standing, okay, I and my colleague, Emrah Karakaya, we have published our recent article offering a reflexive sustainability perspective here, okay? What we have done was posing these 4 different dimensions that we can bring when we study sustainability. How do we select our cases? Why is this case but not the other case to study sustainability? And do we really understand the sources of unsustainability behind that case before providing it with a sustainable option? Or perhaps we need to consider the double-edged sword dilemma. This is how we named it, okay? What are the trade-offs of the studied case? Maybe there are some conflicts between the social sustainability aspects and environmental sustainability aspects, okay? Finally, the boundary problem. In the end, we are living in a very much interconnected world, okay? And one case, one local case or regional case embedded in one particular context may have outside effects, basically beyond the case boundaries. So what we propose in this recent article is that if we can bring these dimensions to our empirical methodologies, okay, especially for the ones running case studies, perhaps we can more reflexively question our sustainability assumptions and then understand and hopefully have the intended sustainability transitions without any unintended consequences. Yeah, that's all from my side. Here I provide the references that I used, basically my recent published work. So now we can open for the discussion session. If anyone has a question or comment, I would like to be more than happy to discuss and respond. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Let's see if we have some questions from the audience.
Yeah, Ebru, thanks a lot for the very interesting, very interesting presentation. And like some of the information are really new to me, to be honest. So I just want to ask, like, have you kind of control or consider the role of business model innovation in these transitions?
Well, not in these studies that I have presented, but this is what I am currently working on as well. I'm trying to understand the interaction between the circular business models and the circular economy transitions. How really business model perspective can also bring some light, okay, to the hopefully happening transitions towards circular economy. But the challenge there, NS, is that both business model literature and circular economy literature are too messy and not really easy to conceptualize in the first hand. And even with a further challenge to link these two messy literatures becomes the main tackle there. But currently, yes, I'm collaborating with some scholars to understand this interaction. We are working on that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think the reason why I ask this question is that like in the these like niche experiments or transition studies, I think the technology is at the core. Correct me if I'm wrong. But on the other hand, like a business model literature says that the technology is not that important, but the important is the rationale of doing business. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know like what is the trade-off would be here, or like is it like necessarily challenging or contradicting with each other? So this is like my perspective.
I would say not necessarily contradicting, but perhaps now we need to focus on different aspects, okay, of these transitions, not only the technological part, and also here, especially institutional theory can be very helpful because it talks about the routines, okay, embedded at different organizations and at different levels of societal structures. So business model, in the end, if it's the main logic behind how the company is functioning, okay, it provides the institutional routines at the company level. And circular economy do the same because in the end, yes, it has some technological changes, okay, embedded in its thinking, but it's more about the routine changes, bringing this exchange logic and also bringing this closing the loop logic to the existing systems. So it's a challenge, but I would say they are not necessarily contradicting, but perhaps can be complementary to each other if it can be done properly. That's a challenge, yes.
Yeah, we are waiting for the new publications then from you.
Thank you, Enis.
That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Unal. Do we have more questions from the audience? You can also unmute your microphone or write in the chat. I have one in the meantime.
Yes, Isaac, please.
I would like to know more. You said that one of your new research lines are related to digitalization. So is that also fit in industrial ecosystems, or could you talk a bit more?
No, that also brings a totally different, okay, umbrella understanding, so to say. So now digitalization is everywhere, and it's also can be considered as a systemic innovation, okay? And it's not necessarily related to the sustainability, but very similar to circular economy. It also includes many different sectors and industrial actors as well. And it can act as a, linking logic between, again, the actors and the sectors. So they do have some similarities, but of course it has, again, the technological focus, similar to what has been studied beforehand by the sustainability transition scholars. So it may need different frameworks, okay, to understand how really this digital transformation will happen or happening. And what I argue there is, again, we need to focus not only the technological, but also the institutional change, because through digitalization, the way how the societies are functioning, changing drastically as well. So what I'm doing right now for the circular economy transitions can be helpful for my research line for the digital transformation, but still I think there we need to collect more empirical data to understand what it means in the reality. So now I'm more at the theoretical side for the digitalization part. So perhaps you may have some insights on that side, Isaac, because I know you were also interested in the digital technologies and maybe the business models behind them.
Yeah, well, I was more focused on platforms. So this is one thing that now we are with some of my students, we have started this research line. So it's more about, it's more about the business model enabled by digitalization, how you change, for example, business models that use the physical world now into virtuality, like Spotify or Airbnb, of these type of platforms mainly. Mm-hmm. So I'm not focusing on sustainability in this case. I'm focusing more on the creation of new types of enterprises that, of course, they bring new things, like now you need virtual teams, but you could be global practically. Since the moment you're born as a platform, you are kind of global, So this internationalization, globalization that happened before is a bit different with new organizations. So, this type of focus.
Yeah. I think platform ecosystems can be also very interesting to bring into the discussion of digital transformations in that sense, because as you said, once they are in function, they become global, right? So they are, yes, bringing different actors from different geographies all together. So if we can talk about digital transformation, then it happens at the same time at different geographies. Again, it's a challenge to conceptualize that, but I think it can bring interesting lines of thought to digital transformations.
Yes, there are some apps that maybe they are more related, let's say, to sustainability. That are the ones from the sharing economy.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, you can question, do they really stand sustainability as a core or as a main idea behind, or it was more an economic way to do it, and then they happen to help into becoming more sustainable just as a side effect. And
yeah.
But yeah, I would also like to, I mean, I'm not doing it at the moment, but I would like also to go there a bit more.
Good, some collaborations in the future.
So I'm not sure if Neslihan.
Hi, Neslihan, welcome. But we are just ending the webinar now, actually.
Sorry for some delay because I got a call, that's why I had to leave. But anyway,
yeah,
I can be with you.
Yeah, anyways, thanks for joining.
It's a nice topic, and I'm in touch with Ebru because I'm responsible for Turkey, and I see that there are some upcoming opportunities in just symbiosis and circular economy aspects. So keep doing.
Yeah, thank you.
If there's no more question, I can go if we have time as well.
Please, Enes, go ahead.
After a long time, yeah, it's a possibility to chat as well. So yeah, in these like sustainability transition studies or industrial ecosystems, like how do you address the social sustainability? Yeah, this is the thing that I wonder, because like most of the time it is underemphasized, I think, because this is not easy to define, or like how would you create like a social value through these like transitions, I would ask.
So, well, I would respond in different ways. If we focus on transitions domain, I think there are very relevant studies also focusing on social sustainability, okay? They basically focus on grassroots innovations emerging from the localities, basically purely by the efforts of the social communities, and they try to bring and also create some value, okay, for better social inclusion, for more effective and efficient solutions for the inequalities, as well as the unemployment happening, okay, not in the developed world, but in the developing and underdeveloped world, so to say. Okay, but for the industrial ecology, I cannot say the same. The main focus is more on the environmental sustainability than I say, and they generally give some implications for the social sustainability, because in the end, if the industrial production systems function in better ways, okay, they can also sustain their value creation and capture in the long run through more sustainable practices. What does that bring? Basically, it brings further regional growth, okay, and further regional development, bringing novel technological innovations to the region, and then, you know, creating novel working lines for the population in this region. And if this region or locality can become a kind of brand name for industrial ecosystems or industrial ecology or circular economy, it can be also a very attractive place for people, okay, for more talented people to work at. So the education system may change there because of that, because then the national government as well as the regional government can invest more on education in sustainability, circular economy. I think it can happen again, okay, but through, well, it's discussed through some implications. It's not very explicitly studied, so to say, okay? This is what I can say. Yeah.
Reminded me one experiment. Well, I'm not sure if it could be an experiment more related to social value, as Enes was asking. But last month, maybe you, Ebru, or Jose that live in Spain, have heard that Spain is doing an experiment with 4 days a week of work. So I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, they are pulling this together. I think it's an experiment. I'm not sure if it's an industrial ecosystem, but is this the type of social benefit that you are talking about, that maybe a society?
Well, this is then an experiment, as you say, Isaac. Then in the end, what they have in mind is maybe having a more socially sustainable culture in Madrid. And how to do that? First, they need to run some local projects, okay? And they start with Madrid, and instead of shifting the existing system drastically to another one, first they run an experiment, basically, and see how it works. And if it works here, most probably in a year or two, then we will be all working 4 days a week, hopefully. And maybe then other regions in Spain can also start copying this experimentation and start seeing if it works or not. And if they can sustain the value creation and capture, just running, this kind of working schedule. So I would not relate it to industrial ecosystems, but then this is related to the transitions and experimentation, if we related it from the social sustainability perspective.
Okay, good. So I think we can, I just would like to show a couple more slides. I think it has been a nice talk, and to see familiar faces.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for the nice keynote. So I just want to let you know about this calendar. So these are the webinars that are coming next week. We have a professor from the Monterrey Tech in Mexico. He's going to talk about value generation using data science. But as you can see, we have different topics for the liking of everyone, I would say, related to the management field. Also, we're going to announce 2 information sessions for the IMIM program. So one will be the last week of May, and the other one will be around mid-June. So we will also keep you posted about that for people who are interested, that are also watching the recording. We have many people that sometimes they register, but they are not able to join because of work or something comes out. But we see a lot of let's say plays and reproductions on the recording. So also this message is for all of you guys who will watch this later. And so I would like to finally thank you everyone for joining us, okay, for being part of our IMIM community, and once again to Professor Ebru Susur for her interesting talk about industrial ecosystems and the transitions and experiments. So thank you very much, everyone, and hopefully we will see you in our next seminars coming on.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ebru. Thank you, Isaac. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.